Soumya, how are
Hello,
you?
I'm good.
Thank you for being on the Beautyvoyage podcast today. This is a podcast and also masterclass. And yeah, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background. And I've met you in New York City and I know about you, but let's introduce the users to a little bit about your story.
Awesome. So, yeah, I moved to New York August of 2023. Before that, I was in India, born and raised in south of India. Lived my entire life in the same city. It's a city called Chennai. Did my undergrad there, then worked for 2 years as a software engineer. And then I was like, you know what, I want to take the next big step in my life. And I was lucky enough to get an admission from New York University. I was like, let's go. New York is calling me. And I moved here fall of 2023. Uh, and it's been 21 months, the best 21 months of my life. Couldn't have asked for anything better. And during my time in college, I also started my own company. It's called Context. It's an AI-powered learning platform where professors can convert their knowledge into fully AI taught courses. And our mission is simple, hyper-personalized learning with the help of AI. And we are in the age of AI, and AI is affecting and making an impact in every industry and vertical. And other than my startup, I also host a lot of events. I've hosted 27 events in the last 4 months. We met at one of my events. That was great during Tech Week, and Tech Week was crazy, more than 1,000 events. And one of my biggest goals through running my startup, helping founders, hosting these events is to make New York City the biggest startup ecosystem in the world. And I will make it, I promise.
You will, yeah, you absolutely will. Yeah, and that is exactly why we're here having this conversation, because you already have this insight of like how to take education and AI, pair it together and help people to have better experiences and more accessible experiences. And as you know, my community is beauty professionals, and that is like a range of different types of beauty pros. So we're just going to sort of like explore different use cases and just kind of get your insights on like how would someone at day zero, because a lot of people are just very, very low tech users in the
Yeah.
industry, or we're also social tech users. So like we're very
Mhm.
good at Instagram and things because there's like a social learning process,
Yeah.
and you learn just by being in public with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's the difference is like, I know people that can do incredible reels and all this. So I hate to say that we're like low tech, but it's
Mhm.
specific types of tech.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about bringing more education to the beauty industry and the beauty workforce. So I don't even know
Awesome.
where to begin, but you're the AI master. So, yeah, how would you just even introduce AI to like someone who has maybe heard of ChatGPT but like hasn't really played with it?
Oh, I love it. What a great question. Firstly, kudos to you, to spreading awareness. I think that's how you help uh, people in any industry and in your community, right? So kudos to what you're doing. And how would I introduce AI? I mean, the base of AI and all these models are neural networks which are inspired from our brain, right? So, and the big goal of AI, the big vision is to, imitate the human brain, how we think, how we do tasks. And AI is already doing a lot of tasks which humans can do, some of it better. Uh, you know, AI is so good at coding, AI is so good at scheduling tasks, AI is so good at writing. But I also give people a caveat that AI is, at least as of this current iteration, cannot replace tasks like creativity, human connections. I always tell that, work with AI. AI, as of its current iteration, is a good personal assistant, or a better
Yeah.
analogy would be it's a sous chef. I like telling people that AI is
Mm.
a sous chef. You know, you're still running the restaurant. You're still the master chef. You're the one taking care of everything. AI is a good sous chef. You tell, okay, do this, now do that, right? So you need to have your plan and everything defined, and you need to know what's going on, and then you can ask AI to do it. And basically, AI is your productivity tool. It's your assistant that's going to 10x your output. So whatever you're doing, if any task that you do, it can be in your industry or in any other industry. If you're doing a task, if it took you like 10 days, maybe with the help of AI and having systems set up, you can like do those tasks even in a day or even less than that. Personally, for me, like I code, I'm technical, and there used to be like features or things that I used to code that would take me days or weeks. Now it just takes me a couple of hours. So, knowing what you're doing and knowing how to leverage these tools can 10x your productivity. But it's about knowing about the tools in the industry. And like I said, many
Yeah.
people are not aware. So I think just joining, like I know about the latest tools by looking at websites like Product Hunt. I think that's some of the
Mm.
Product Hunt, TechCrunch. These websites are some of the best ways to know, okay, what are the trending tools? Are there tools in my industry? So based on what your problem statements are. So I always tell people, okay, what are some problems that you currently face which you feel like your intuition says, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this. My work is to do more meaningful things, not these kind of back office administrative tasks. Can I automate it? Then look up, ask even ChatGPT, like, hey, I have these problems. Are there any
Yeah.
tools that can help me automate it? And you'll actually end up finding a lot of tools. Try
Yeah.
talking to people in tech. You might have some smart engineer friends, and they're like, hey, I have this problem. Do you know how what tool can help me solve it? And all these tech geeks will most probably give you the right recommendations.
Yeah, amazing. There's so much within each of those like actions. I think one thing that is like a common question is, there's different brands of like, so there's Chat, GPT, there's Replit, like I don't even know the names of them all. But how do you explain that? Is that like Google and Safari, or do they have different purposes? Can you give us some insight on that?
Right. So there are some general purpose chatbots, like the big ones, like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude. These are your general purpose LLMs because these are these big companies with a lot of money, build training and building these models and providing it to end users. And these are general purpose, so you can ask it any day-to-day task or ask it to do research. And within these tools, you have so many other tools that you can interact with. Like ChatGPT has the deep research feature, so I really use that to, for example, come up with a report. Even yesterday, I was doing some market research on AI in education, and I just asked it to do it, and it did a good job. Sometimes it feels like it's having like an analyst with you, like a McKinsey level analyst working for you. It's so good. But then these are general purpose. Then based on your domain and your specific use case. For example, in my case, I'm a coder. I code almost every day. So I use tools like Cursor, Lovable, Replit, like you mentioned. I've never used Replit, but it's used for coding. So in these kind of domain specific, you have tools like these. So there are general purpose chatbots, and then there are domain specific chatbots, or I would say tools that help you with your purposes. So it's about finding, okay, this is my domain and these are my use cases. Can ChatGPT do a good job? For most cases, yes. Like, I'll be honest, maybe it's not advice, but I take a lot of tax advice from ChatGPT, you wouldn't believe, and it's really good. So when I was filing my
Mm.
taxes, ChatGPT did a really good job, right? But then if you have to go even more deeper, like there are chatbots for lawyers, right? There are
Mm.
tools like there's this tool called Harvey. They're a big company, right? So their AI is for particularly for lawyers. So look at your domain, try to search for AI tools in your domain if you're trying to go really deep within your domain and trying to find for a very specific use case, like I said, coding or reviewing legal
Mm.
contracts. And
Yeah.
I don't know much about beauty, and maybe you would know better problem statements, and then
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
say there are tools like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into some of those. I think I had a thought about that. Okay, so I know safety is something that people are scared of if they don't understand what it is that we're working on with and it's new. So I've heard a few things as far as like you can ask the AI, what are some guidelines of like what I should and shouldn't share with you. And because it's like it's not opinion based, right? It's like
Mhm.
it shares facts. And so it's not like if you ask a person, um, what deep secrets should I not share with you? Like, you can't trust their answer, right? Because they're gonna have an
Yeah,
agenda. But
yeah.
or like, yeah. So I guess, what's your thoughts on like safety wise, and what do people need to know?
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, please don't share your SSN. But
Yes.
I think you know some like of course in chat like OpenAI Chat GPT there's an option where you can have like you can select an option where they don't share your data for their training because there's by default an option Chat GPT where your data can be used to train their models. But
Hmm.
I've turned it off. Like I don't want them to train on my data. I would like to keep it private. So having guardrails like these, and even if you're using like domain specific tools, look at if there are guardrails like these. Like that's step number one. And then of course, a little bit of common sense of not sharing any kind of like bank information or SSN like I
Yes.
joke or any kind of private information. That just it's like you're talking to someone for the first time, so you're not gonna come with that mindset. And, you're not gonna share very very personal information. You have a question, you have a query that needs to be answered. You ask that, and you get answers. And the like ChatGPT or any of these AI tools are good at it. And also another thing that I like to recommend people is ask really specific questions. And it all comes about prompting. So how well can you prompt? Because if I have this saying, and it's a very common saying: you ask for shit, you get shit. So be very specific of what you want, and if you have the clarity and prompt it well, then AI gives you specific good answers because AI can, although it's reduced, but still AI can hallucinate a lot. So you have to be careful of, how you're framing your question
Hmm.
and always fact check, like, don't blindly believe. That's why I like using sometimes tools like Perplexity, because on Perplexity, it's like an AI powered search engine, right? So you can look at the sources that it's taking information from. You can go and cross check. I always tell that. So don't share personal information and any kind of information that you get from these chatbots, verify it, and I think you should be good to go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I know it's common also to use more than one. Like, you might use Perplexity for one purpose, and
Hmm.
then like creating content or like more conversation with ChatGPT or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's very common because um, each tool has its own like each model are good at different things. Like for example, I use Claude for coding because
Mhm.
for some reason Anthropic's Claude is really good at coding. For general purpose tasks, I use ChatGPT. For writing, I think I again use Claude. Claude is really good at writing and coding, right? So that's when I tell people, for you to know which tool is good at what, you just have to play. So just start playing with these tools, ask it questions, interact with it daily. And there's this like in education, it's a very general saying, and I totally believe in it. You learn by doing things, right? So the best way to learn is by actually doing, experimenting, and finding out, okay, is this tool good and does it satisfy my use case, or should I try something else? So
Yeah,
you learn by doing.
absolutely. And so, when you are prompting or when you're asking it a question, is it good to keep it general? So, like, I'll say, okay, actually, let me change the question. So when you are training an AI, like, so if I have separate chats, right? Maybe I have one chat in Chat GPT because that's the one I'm using the most, and it's
Yeah,
about like planning an event, and then the next chat would be like um, email editing, something like that. So it's
yeah,
like each one is like a different subject, but if I'm feeding one of these chats and I say, oh, actually responds in this type of voice, or I like what you said, but I want you to add it in a more serious tone, is
yeah.
that what training is?
Training would be a lot of different things. I think this would be it's a very open term, right? Training, you can train your chatbot like in different ways. You can give it role. You can like how I use it. Like I use this feature on OpenAI ChatGPT called projects, right? So on projects, I there are two options. You can give it instructions, and then you can give it like knowledge, right? So instructions is how you want it to behave. So for example, what's a good example? So I have a project for context, right? So it has on in knowledge, it has context of context, no pun intended, where I've uploaded let's say my pitch decks, any kind of information that I have for context. Of course, not any confidential information, but in general, what context is about, all the value proposition and everything. So that knows, and also about founders, about me, my co-founder. So it has knowledge of, okay, this is what context is about. And then I give it instructions, like, so give it a role to play. That's how I do it. So, like, let's say, for example, in your case, like you said, email. So, you're giving it instructions of, okay, I want my emails to be short in like small, small paragraphs. The email's tone should be like actionable, vocabulary should be simple, and you can do things like that. And you're giving it a role and output instructions. So, and this is how I like to train my any kind of chatbot that I'm working with. I give it context of what task it's going to be about. Let's say I'm going to write an email. So for it to write a good email, it should have a context of, who am I writing it for? What's the email for, right? Let's say you're writing an email to an cold email to an investor. So give some information. So that's the context. Then give it a role. Imagine you are the CEO of top Silicon Valley company. So you give it a role, so it plays accordingly, and then you can give it like an output format. Okay, give a very short email with this kind of vocabulary. So when you give it like good context, role, and specific task, it ends up doing a good job. Which also I call it as training, right? You're training the chatbot to play a role and give output in a certain manner.
Okay. And then the more that you give it specific prompts, does it remembers that, or is it just for that one interaction? Like, do you have to keep saying, if you did like, a week later you did like 10 new emails, would you have to say what you already stated in the beginning, or it holds that?
If you're in the same chart, it will still hold up, because the memory context window of these models have increased. Also, ChatGPT specifically, I don't know about other tools, but in ChatGPT, you have a memory feature, right? So it remembers informations like these, about you, about, let's say, your writing style and all that. And you also have an option to update ChatGPT's memory. So it's kind of becoming like a second brain. The more you interact with it, the more ChatGPT knows about you. I think there was this very trendy thing that was going on a few months ago on LinkedIn and Twitter, where people are asking ChatGPT, based on what you know about me, describe me in a paragraph or something. And ChatGPT was pretty accurate for almost everyone. So
Yeah.
because it's able to remember stuff. So the more you interact with it, the more it knows about you, and it starts acting like a second brain. So you almost then set it on autopilot. Okay, write me this email, and it will most probably write it in the format that you usually expect, because you just interacted with it so much that now it's learned about you. So it learns the way you talk, the way you act, about you, and what kind of information you're mostly looking for.
Okay, cool. I think that we should gamify this a little bit. So
Okay.
since I have the insights of Beauty
Mhm.
Pros, I will sort of like create the user and I'll tell
Mhm.
you, okay, I'm a braider and I run a braid shop and I have 2 chairs and I want to find a new source of hair to buy from. And how could I use ChatGPT to do that, for
No,
example?
sorry, I think I missed the starting part of your question. Can you repeat it? My bad.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I'm gonna give you a scenario. Like I just created a story, right?
Okay.
And since I know like these details of Beauty Pros, then we're creating the person that's gonna be using ChatGPT and
Mhm.
possible scenarios that they might be looking to use it for. And then
Got it.
you'll tell me as the expert what you would do if you were them,
Okay, got it.
like
Let's
how
go.
how you would utilize it. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so scenario one is going to be a braider. and that's
Okay.
like a hair braider, and she only does braiding in her shop. She has two chairs. She's in New York City, and she wants to find a new source to buy hair from, because hair is such a competitive market and it's
Yeah.
expensive, and everybody always wants the best of the best. So how could she use chat to help her with this research of like, I've been with this one hair supplier for 6 years,
Mhm.
but maybe there's something better out there. How do I
Yeah.
find that?
Okay. Interesting. I like that question. Um, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to ChatGPT and there is an option called deep research. So I'm gonna select that, right? And then I'm gonna give all the context that you just gave. Uh, I'm going to tell I'm a hair braider based in New York City. Uh, I serve so and so many customers every day. This is my current supplier. This is how much I pay him or her on a contract basis or on a monthly basis. And but I'm looking for more sources of hair suppliers, and it may be a particular type of hair. I don't know. I'm not an expert
Hmm.
in that, but you give
Yeah.
as much context as you can. And this is my price range. Let's say, I don't want to pay someone more than this, something that, and I want them also to be based in New York City so that logistics are easy. I'm just throwing things out there, and then
Yeah.
you click enter. And what deep research does, it has access to the internet, right? And it's like an analyst in a way. It's like a research agent. So it goes and sources the web with all the information that you've just given, and to come up with a detailed report. And you can also ask it, you can ask a report, or you can just say, okay, now give me a table of all the hair suppliers based in the northeastern region who have price range of so and so, and something like that, and who deal with small and medium businesses like mine, and it will
Yeah.
then come up with a list of hair supplies. So this is how you can leverage ChatGPT's deep research feature for the use case that you just asked.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. I love chat. I love AI. This is so cool. And okay, so another scenario would be, I am a salon owner and I have 10 chairs, 10 stylists that work in my shop as employees. And we have been using Redken hair color for 2 decades.
Okay.
And that is what our customers are used to. That is what they know. It's a huge project to like switch color lines, because
Hmm.
then every single customer is going to have some type of change, and if they're like repeat customers, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I only want to do this one time, and I don't want this to like disrupt my business. So how could I search what is the next best color line like Redken that I already use
Hmm.
to switch it with? Like, give me things that are similar and maybe cost effective. Like, how would I go about shopping for my new color line?
New color line. Okay. Interesting. I like that. Wow, that's a very tricky use case that you've come up with. So I think here there are two things at play. Of course, you have to research and brainstorm with you know I think this is more brainstorming, I would say, right? So I would first okay, I would do two things maybe. I would also use the research that I just said. So give all the context that you just gave and ask it to research of
Mm,
what's the next best color line. And I could also say, hey, are there any other salons that have done something like this, because there's always information in the internet if you scout for it. So I'll, on one side, give the deep research agent all this information and ask it to scout for, the closest color line that you just mentioned, and also see are there any competitors or, similar salons like yours that have done something like this. And then since it's a brainstorming thing, and I personally, when I have to brainstorm, you cannot brainstorm when you, at least it's a very personal thing that, by chatting or writing down. I feel I brainstorm well when I'm talking to someone. That's what brainstorming is. So if I have to brainstorm ideas, I'm going to run it by, like, for example, with you. like, hey, this is my problem. What do you think? And then you say something, he says something. It's a conversation. So ChatGPT's has this feature called real-time voice, or sorry, advanced voice mode, right? Where you can literally have an interaction. It's like talking to a human. So you can ask ChatGPT to play a role of, you are an expert salon owner or something like that who's been running a successful business for the last 30 years. Now I have this problem that you just mentioned, and brainstorm with it. And maybe through that brainstorming session, you can just come up with new ideas. Oh, I could do this, or I could do that, right? So I think
Mm.
using this kind of voice mode, because I think you get more clarity as a person when you speak your thoughts out, right? So this is a very underrated feature which many people don't understand, that you can use voice mode. Uh, you can interact with the AI. It's like as if talking to a person, talking to a mentor, and
Mm.
you might end up getting answers.
And is that something you have to activate the voice?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. You just go on ChatGPT's. I don't know if I have my thing open, but yeah. So I don't know if you can see, but if you click on this button,
mhm.
wait, why isn't it? Let me see. Yeah. So this is the voice mode. So I can ask,
Oh,
what's the weather like today in New York City?
I was thinking. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you're able to hear because I'm connected to my
Yes.
headphone, but yeah, so you can basically brainstorm and ask information and speak your thoughts out. Yeah, I should maybe ask this question to this ChatGPT, but it's all right. But yeah,
How
I tell people. Sorry.
how did you pick the voice?
Oh, I think you have an option on ChatGPT where you can pick different voices. There are like I think 10 different voice options. But if you go on the settings, you can like choose the voice options. I'm not able to find it, but yeah. So you
Oh
can
my
choose the
gosh.
voice whichever you feel calm. I felt this voice was really nice and soothing. So yeah, I just chose this voice.
That is so cool. Did you have you named your chat GPT?
Oh, now that you say no, and I should maybe, yeah.
I named mine Arlo. I think I told you this the other night because I love the Arlo Hotel.
Oh, the hotel. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I should
And
also name.
so
Yeah.
I also just like that I refer like in conversation I got sick of saying ChatGPT because it just
Mhm.
sounded so like I don't know, just I was
Robotic,
just sick of
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just I to all my friends, I tell them Arlo is my chat GPT. So when I talk to you about Arlo, you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Like it's like my friend, which
Yeah.
is a little bit I feel like I'm on the border of like I could go the scary direction of of having a friendship with the AI or
Yeah.
but
You
I don't
forget about all
know.
the people and yes, AI is my best friend. Let's
Yeah,
destroy the world together. No, I'm kidding, but yeah.
it's like it's uncomfortable because that's like it's a possibility. Like there's definitely people in the world that are out here with AI companions, but
Oh yeah.
it's like I
And
wanted to personalize it a little bit. So
yeah, I
yeah,
understand. It's become such a big thing, like AI companion, AI friend, AI therapist is becoming a big
yeah,
thing. And
yeah.
AI girlfriends, oh God,
Oh
that
God.
that's a
Yeah,
line that, okay, I draw a line there. Come on.
yeah,
So I tell people
yeah,
like no matter what, I'm very pro AI and I tell, use it for all use cases, but I feel like still we're social animals and we need to connect with people. No, I'm like very anti AI friends or AI girlfriends. Like,
yeah.
go out, talk to people, use AI for everything else, but not for human connection. Don't replace
Yes.
human connection with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that actually brings me to my next scenario because in the beauty world, there's, a lot of people end up opening salons or like people that are like top stylists. They just kind of end up growing in their craft. But one of the challenges is that there is not a lot of manager skill or like HR. Like there's just like not a lot of people and leadership that has
Mhm.
been taught. when you get into some of these spaces. And so I love the idea of being able to talk to AI when there's a conflict, because there will always be conflict because
Yeah.
humans, like
Yeah.
that's not something we can avoid.
Yeah.
But learning manager skills or leadership skills, or even like being able to, like you said, brainstorm different scenarios.
Hmm.
I think that this could be really, really good for salon cultures, because one of the reasons why like people leave, or it always has to come down to like leadership and like the toxic environments. And
Yeah.
so say I'm a manager and two of my stylists, or maybe it's like a client and a stylist had a conflict. Maybe the client didn't like their hair color, and the stylist feels like they did what the client asked. Something
Hmm.
that's kind of abstract and vague and has to do with two people's felt sense and experience. Um, you could use that scenario to figure out how to address it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think this is where again you could use the feature that I said, uh
Yeah.
hey, this is what's happened. Maybe we can play a simulation, AI is so good with that. I know, a lot of my friends who just graduated from NYU, they use features like these to just practice for interviews, right? Um, you know,
Yeah.
hey, I have an interview coming up for a product management role. Ask me some questions that are like the top 10 questions that are asked for product managers
Yes.
who are just out of college or something. And then and you can also get, and this is where you can use, you can feed it with your data, you can upload your resume, like, look at my resume, grill me on my resume for product management
Mm.
related questions and things like that. And then rate me out of 10, or give me my uh, plus points and negative points of how I performed at the end of the interview. And that's so good because people many times look for, how do I practice for an interview? How do I do mock interviews? And
Yeah.
AI tools like these have just democratized all this. You don't need to pay for services to get mock interviews. AI is so good at taking that because it has been trained with all that data. So all you have to do is just
Mm.
feed it, like in this case, just feed it with your resume and tell it, I have an interview coming up. Let's say Google, ask me one of the most commonly asked product management questions at Google.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so for it would be like even students that are getting their license, they could start practicing for salon interviews before they're
Oh,
even out of
okay.
school. And they could say, I graduated from the Veda Institute of Denver and I want to apply to the Soho location and of this salon, and give me 10 questions to practice. Something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And I didn't know there were like interviews for salon and stuff. So oh yeah, that's a very good use case.
Yeah, well, they're very different. They're very,
Hmm.
a lot of them are like practical, but it could
Yeah,
even help you to prepare, like if they, and I guess that's part of the challenge. I think I've told you a little bit about the industry, how it's fragmented, and that's
yeah,
part of the challenge is there's not a lot of consistency. And so you don't know, it's not like Google maybe has the same interview process across the board in every state that they're in.
yeah.
In the beauty industry, is every little shop has a different process, and so it's hard to know what to
Interesting.
prepare for.
Yeah.
But you can start with like this sourced data and the deep research and just say like, how can I best prepare for this? So
Yeah.
I love that. That's a huge life hack right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
what about okay, so I know that when people talk about content generation and AI, I feel like that's the one that I see the most on Instagram, is like a lot of people, maybe it's just the side of Instagram that I'm on, but people talk about using AI to kind of streamline their content generation process. But
Yeah.
a lot of the challenges that I've seen is like it because content is so personal and it's so human and our personalities, and that's what we're trying to put out into the world so that we get the type of customers that resonate with us. It's hard to streamline that process. So
Mhm.
maybe like maybe not so much in the actual creating of the posts, but I know that there's got to be so many ways to organize like the systems that go into generating content.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how can we work on that part of a business?
No, that's so great. Now I think about, I think there's this company called Icon. They've become pretty viral in recent months, and they market themselves as, AI CMO, AI Chief Marketing Officer, right?
Oh.
So yeah, and basically they're like again, it depends on what kind of content. So I'm talking maybe more from a video content perspective, but there are also other tools for like social media in general, right? Streamlining processes. So in general, like imagine, let's say you're a salon, and a lot of these small boutique businesses also have Instagram pages, and many of them get viral, and customers just do social media and the way they market. So let's say you're just starting out your salon, and you're like, you know what? Okay, I need to, and I'm in New York City. There are 100 other salons in Manhattan. How do I stand out? I want to social media marketing, and so maybe first step is to find out, okay, what's getting viral in New York City in this around salon and beauty and stuff and or fashion, and there are tools that help you. I don't remember now what's the tool name, but there's this tool that can like basically pull data on some of the trending social media posts across like different platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and give you, okay, these posts and these are the common topics that are trending right now. And then the next step you can do is, okay, based on these, generate me some marketing campaigns or generate me some social media posts or writing content or video content. You can do that, and then you can start posting it. So with AI, you're able to identify trends that's happening. Then you give it
Mhm.
context of this is who I am. Identify the trends, and based on those trends, generate a lot of marketing materials. Like it can be video content, it can be like text content, uh, ads and stuff. So what happens with AI? You're still in control, but all this work of looking for, okay, what's trending, which brands are doing good, what are they doing right, what kind of post if I put or what kind of content if I write or create will actually work. And all this is a lot of work. Like, although I said it so simply, each and everything, if you have to do it manually, is so much work. But with AI, you're able to automate this process and make it like 10 times faster, right? So it's still you like creating the content in a way,
Mhm.
but you're streamlining all these processes by asking AI to do various steps of
Yes.
content creation, because it's not just like step one and you're done. Like you have to do your research, then generate the content, generate a draft, then modify it and then post it. But with AI you
Yeah.
can like automate this entire process.
Yeah, and then going back to when you how you referred to it as like the sous chef, it's like, you don't just let the sous chef do the final touches, right? Like
Yeah.
there's the master chef that's gonna make sure it's all perfect, and then you take it out into the table. So it's the same with these things, like it can get things going, but you can still edit them, and like there's tons of emojis, and there's like all this
Hmm.
stuff that you can edit to your specific brand voice, but
Yeah.
it takes out like 80% of the preparation that you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. And rest of the 20% more meaningful work, which you're good at, you then end up doing that. And that's why I tell people like, cut off all the I wouldn't say junk, that's not the right word, but more administrative tasks that if you can outsource, and that's why I tell people like if there was something that you could like basically outsource, you just outsource it to AI and instruct AI, do this, do that, do this, and then the more meaningful work which you have expertise in you do that, right? And it just makes it faster.
Amazing. Okay, so we've talked about products and we've talked about people. One thing in small business is like trying to understand like the financials
Hmm.
of the business health. And so another scenario could be like I am a nail salon owner,
Yeah.
and I want to see which service we should focus on selling the most of if we had a goal of reaching a 10K month. And then I
Mm,
could say like, okay, we do full sets, we do acrylics. These are the prices for those, our top 5 services. And what combination of these services, like a breakdown, if I wanted to look at, like a numbers chart type thing,
yeah.
or I wanted to see different scenarios of how we could get there, how do you take that into action?
Interesting. Very, very good question. Uh, I, I've been hearing, a lot of companies trying to, build AI tools specifically for small businesses. I think there's this Y Combinator company, which is, I think, building AI for like, I think hotel owners. I don't know if they also do small businesses, but if you're able to find tools like these, because what these tools do is, automate a lot of these back office administrative tasks and also has idea about, your financials and all that. So you can interact with your data basically. But let's say are not able to find an exact tool for your purposes. You can still use something like ChatGPT. You give it all the context of, okay, these are my financials. Give it context about your business, then give it a role to play, okay, you are an expert, consultant or something. Analyze, all my financial statements and try to identify trends. Like, for example, which are the 20% tasks or inputs, like the 80/20 rule, which is driving most of my business, right?
Mm,
And ask it to identify trends. And what AI is really also good at is coming up with charts. So you can also ask AI, to okay, or present all your information and your study in charts or in a visual manner. So it can do different charts. Okay, this is
mm,
how this part of your business performed in the last few months. This was the month over month growth, and so things
mm,
like that. So when you have things lined up in front of you in a visual manner,
mm.
then you're able to understand and analyze. Oh, okay. If I do these things, this will really help my business grow.
Amazing. So yeah, so you could download reports from like your Square, like if you used appointment booking software, and you
Yeah,
could upload that into ChatGPT and you could say, give me an analysis of the services, like the top performing services,
yeah.
and then tell me how many of those I would need to do in a month to make 10K. And then it would be like a goals, right? Or it
Yeah,
would give you some type of format.
exactly. And ask it to come up with ask it to be like for example, like a strategist and, hey, now give me a roadmap of, what are the things that I do and be as detailed as possible. Give me like, okay, in tech, you call it a product roadmap, but here it would be like a business roadmap or a business plan of, for the next, let's say 6 months, what are the KPIs or goals that I need to achieve month on month so that I can reach that final goal of, I don't know, doubling my revenue or something like that. So you can like not only ask AI to analyze your data and just show outputs, but also ask it to come up with an action plan. So also do a SWOT analysis and then come up with an action plan of and lay down the roadmap of this is how I need to do. Like a friend of mine, actually a friend, he built this like he white coded this kind of small product, and he was like, you know what, maybe I should start a company around it. And then he went to ChatGPT, gave it all the context of the product and what he wants to do and maybe what's his big vision. And ChatGPT came up with an entire business plan. Like it was like a 20-page business plan of, these are things you need to do. This is the market. This is like this is your target market. This is the value proposition. This is the solution. It came up with a proper business plan. So not only can analyze data for you, it can give you actionable steps to work on.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's when I start to just get like so excited and also overwhelmed because it's endless, right? Like
Oh yeah.
it doesn't get exhausted. It doesn't like it can just keep going and going and going. And yeah, I think that that is the hardest part about it is that
Oh
like
yeah.
then you have all this info and then you have to learn to condense or to keep asking better questions so that you don't have to sort through all the info. But
Mhm.
you can also ask it to summarize or to shorten the answers too, right?
Oh yeah, if you're overwhelmed, many times it does give me like a lot of text and something and like, okay, s like just explain me in like three sentences.
Hmm.
Sometimes you get answers that you don't completely understand because maybe it's not your domain. Then I tell it, explain me like I'm 5 year old. So that's the beauty of AI. You can like ask it to play any role or explain me this. Like, let's say you're trying to learn a very tough concept that you have no idea about. Um, like you can ask it to explain me like a 5 year old, or a lot of times what I do is give me analogies because I like starting with analogies. So I'm like, give me analogies with like, let's say, Marvel movies. Explain me something with that,
Hmm.
right? So and this is where, I'm going to plug in context, right? This is where, companies like ours are trying to do. We're trying to hyper personalize learning as much as we can, you know.
Hmm.
And the best part of AI is that you can hyper personalize it to the most granular level. You can ask it to speak it in such a in this voice. You can ask it to, teach me, or maybe ask it to act like, be like Elon Musk and teach me this. I don't know if you would want
Yeah.
that, but I'm just saying for an example. So you can really personalize learning and understand any kind of
Yes.
information.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Even language translating, like yeah,
Hmm.
it's truly endless. And yeah, I guess I'm just, all of these scenarios help beauty professionals to be able to take more control over like the narrative. And that's something that like as my marketplace is passionate about because we're trying to decentralize education. But it's also like this idea that creatives previously you kind of had to do everything from idea. Like if you have an idea, which a lot of us are visionaries, or especially like when you see someone creating a specific look, it's like you have this idea, this inspiration in your mind, and there's like so many steps to get it out into fruition, into the world, into like not only just translating the visual that you see in your mind into like a form, but it's the steps of how am I going to photograph it, how am I like what am I going to not just create it, because a lot of us can figure out like how to create something, but
Yeah,
it's the how are we going to then extend its life as far as like
yeah,
sharing it or bringing it into creating it into a product or making it into a marketing tool or whatever it
mhm,
is, because like for example there was this really cool fashion show that we did years ago, and everything was made out of recycled materials, and
okay,
it was just such a fun project, right? But it was just like months and months of like, okay, we have this idea and we want to make this type of design, and then you had to find which materials could
mhm,
actually be manipulated and worn,
yeah,
and there are just so many stages. So I love the idea that more creativity can happen because we're getting so many of these barriers out of the way,
yeah,
and
exactly.
that these creatives can be more empowered because they can actually be in charge of the collaborations instead of sort
Yeah,
of being at the mercy of like a lot of times we're at the mercy of people at production level, like
yeah,
photographers or videographers or musicians, because we're just sort of seen as like the extras. And
right.
I love that this is like changing that. So thank you for all your insights.
No, and thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I've had multiple conversations about AI. I almost have conversations every day, but never from a, the beauty industry perspective. So I was like, yeah, this is very new to me. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much. And is there a resource that you would like anybody to follow? Like, do you want people to go to your website? Where can we send them?
Send them to my LinkedIn. Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not on other social media. Maybe I'll open one sometime in the future, but right now only on LinkedIn. Follow me.
Okay. And yeah, we'll put your link in. We'll put a link to his LinkedIn underneath this video so you guys can just click it. But thank you so much, and we'll have you on again. So we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.